Well, today I'm going to try something it's called streaming. I know everybody knows about it. I'm not too familiar with it. I record it and then I just post it on Facebook and other media. But I'm going to try this streaming. I'm not sure how exactly this works. I don't know if it's on now or how it works. But anyway, what I wanted to share briefly with you this morning is I heard a song today at worship service that I had never heard before. I don't remember the whole song, but one lyric or part of it really struck me. Uh, the song says that the God's breath is in my lungs, and therefore with my breath I will exalt him. I'm paraphrasing. It's something like that, but the idea is that it's God's breath that is in our lungs. And because it's his breath, it belongs to him, and we should be praising him. And that reminded me of a passage in Acts 17, and I want to share that with you. Here, Paul is at Athens at as they call it, the Sermon on Mars Hill. But just let me read a few passages from there, and then we'll end it there. As I say, as I've stated before, I'm trying to keep these short and just want to just give you maybe a little insight, maybe a little encouragement throughout the week, whatever I can do to help you in your walk as a Christian, and it helps me also to do my part since I'm no longer preaching full time. I'm not no longer preaching other than what I do on here. So anyway, it's a benefit to me as well. It seems it helps me to do what God has called me to do many years ago, and what I've done for many years up to this point. So anyway, in Acts 17, I'm going to begin with verse 22. So Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, Men of Athens, I observe that you are very religious in all respects. For while I was passing through and examining the objects of your worship, I also found an altar with this inscription, To an unknown God. Therefore, would you worship in ignorance, this I proclaim to you. The God who made the worlds and all things in it, since he is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands, nor is he served by human hands, as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all people life and breath and all things. And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined their appointed times and the boundaries of their habitation, that they would seek God, if perhaps they might grope for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and exist. That is a powerful statement that song reminded me of. Uh, it is in God that we live and move and have our very existence, our very being, as other translations say. And so that's just what I want to remind you of today, that the breath that we breathe, every breath that we breathe, every breath that we have is a gift from God. Our very existence is a gift from God. God is our creator. He is the one that sustains us. And so let's be mindful of the things that we think, the things that we allow to enter into our mind. Be mindful of the things that come out of our mouth, of what we say. Sometimes in this stressful lives, in our stressful lives, uh, we tend to get angry and irritated and frustrated, and just we'll say some things that are hurtful to other people. We've got to start slowing down. This 2020, I made a resolution. What is that? It's called a resolution. What is it? I don't know what it's called. Something. A New Year's resolution, right? So my New Year's resolution was that I'm no longer going to argue with my wife. Now, mind you, I've been married to my wife for 42 years. We've been married 42 years, going on 43, and we've been in arguments in our lives. But as I look back at the arguments, I recognize that all those things are avoidable. It just depends on one of us making a decision. So I've made a decision this year. I'm no longer going to argue with you. Just I'm not going to argue. And I told her I'm not going to argue with you. We're just going to, if we can't find an agreement or something, we're just going to be quiet and just move on to the next topic or subject, because we have said hurtful things sometimes to each other in anger, in frustration. And we do that to everybody out in the car, at work, wherever you are. And so I'm reminded this morning in church that, the breath that is in my lungs belongs to God. And as such, I need to be mindful of what that I use that breath to praise him, to glorify him, to be thankful for his grace and his mercy towards me. And so I want to encourage you today in 2020, think about this. Remember that it is the breath of God that is within us. It is that breath of God that sustains us. So I hope you guys have started a good new year, and I hope you've made a good, simple resolution that you can hold on to. And I pray that that resolution will be to get closer to God, to become closer to your family, closer to your church members, and just try. I know I'm going to try to be a better person than I've ever been. And this is basically my goal every day. I wake up every day. I'm going to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And to some extent, I think I'm succeeding. But we all have, we have to continually work at it. It's a struggle. It's an everyday struggle. We get up in the morning and it's a fight. It's like the jungle, the gazelle gets up in the morning and it knows that it's going to have to outrun the lion or else it's not going to eat. I think I read that in somewhere, someplace, and the lion wakes up in the same jungle that morning thinking that if he doesn't outrun the gazelle, he's not going to eat. So it's a jungle. We got to get up in the morning and we got to know that we got to defeat Satan. We got to defeat the many temptations, the many stumbling blocks that Satan puts before us. And we've got to make sure and get ourselves ready, prepared. This morning, I'm going to live my life focused on God, doing the godly things, controlling my temper, my language, my thoughts, and doing the best that we can to be the people that God has called us to be. So anyway, again, I think this is live streaming. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope it records so that I can keep it in my archives like I have the other sermons. But anyway, all this is a work in progress. Blessings to all of you. Keep the faith. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.